justice and peace will kiss. Truth will spring from the earth. Justice will look down from heaven. Love and truth will meet. Justice and peace will kiss. Truth will spring from the earth. Justice will look down from heaven. Love and truth will meet. Justice and peace will kiss. Truth will spring from the earth. Justice will look down from heaven. Love and truth will meet. Justice and peace will kiss. Truth will spring from the earth. Justice will look down from heaven. Truth will meet. Justice and peace will kiss. Truth will spring from the earth. Justice will look down from heaven.
You have just heard a song from the Jesuit Music Ministry. Follow jescom.ph on Spotify and Jescom Music on YouTube. We are also on iTunes and Deezer.
Nasistress ka na ba? Nagpapanik o natatakot dahil sa COVID-19? Normal lang ang ganitong mga reaksyon sa ngayon. Pero may magagawa ka para mapagtagumpayan ang sitwasyon na ito. Ituloy lang ang pangangamusta sa mga kamag-anak at kaibigan gamit ang text, tawag o video. Tiyakin na ang mga bata ay ligtas at nasa maayos na kalagayan. Gawin sa bahay ang mga nakasanayan upang hindi mabagot o mabalisa sa panahong ito. Sa wastong pag-iingat, ang virus hindi kakalat. COVID-19, kayang-kaya nating tapusin.
We are now on YouTube. Watch all of our live episodes plus exclusive content in our channel at radyo-katipunan FM. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the bell to get the latest updates. Radyo-Katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo-Katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo-Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay at tenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating
ang meron. Paano nga bang mabuhay ng tapat sa meron? Don't you wish you can relive your philo classes? The terror teachers? The terrible oral exams? Or the even terrifying but liberating and life-changing aha moments? Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Here's your chance! Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Kasama ang mga pilosopong sina Jovi Miroy at Ron Capinding. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping upward, leaping forward. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping to greater heights, to greater wisdom, to greater magis. Lundag na, Ateneo!
Good afternoon.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon, Sir Jovi.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon sa ating mga tagapakinig na ating
Masugid
mga
po pakinig.
masugid na tagapakinig. Andyan na naman sila.
Okay, ngayon po ay Lunes na naman ng hapon at natutuwa kami humarap sa inyo para sa isa na namang palatuntunan, episode ng Lundagin mo, Beybeh. Kasama ko si Doc Jovi Miroy. At nandito kami para pagaanin ang mabibigat at pabigatin ang magagaan sa ating pag-uusap. At
Speaking of mabigat, Sir Ron, batiin condolence lang dun sa pamilya ni Sir Bobin Benida. Nakilala mo ba siya?
Opo. Hindi ko siya naging guro pero
Pumanaw kanina.
Oo nga, nabalitaan ko. Isang malungkot na nakilala namin siya. Lagi siyang nasa Sociology and Anthropology Department nung kolehiyo.
Oo nga, malapit yan kay Sir Ricky.
Kaya Sir Ricky at sa lahat ng iba pa sa Socio-Anthro Department. Nakikiramay po kami sa mga naiwanan ni Doc Bobing Benida. At yun po, Sir Jovi, nagulat naman ako na yun ang binubinugan mo sa amin.
Alam mo, Sir Ron, meron pala akong baka makalimutan ko sabihin. Kailan ba manunumbalik yung mga reading na ginagawa mo dati? Yung meron kang sa gitna ng show natin, meron kang mga pasabog na...
Hindi ko alam, sir. Kayo lang ang biglang tumigil na hindi na hinihinging gawin ko yun. Kaya ayaw
Ano ba? Handa ka ba? Handa ka ba ngayon?
Handa ako kahit kailan. Hingin mo lang sa akin yan.
Alright. Pero, sige, ano natin yan. Pero ngayon ako excited ako and I'm very honored sa ating mga panauhin dahil nga ikaw na gusto mo magkwento, bakit ba napili nating paksa?
Hindi ko alam kung ba't natin napili itong paksa ito.
May lumabas sa ranking, di ba? Tayo ay lumabas na number 1 sa graduate employability ranking.
Oo nga pala.
Ng QS.
Ayun pala yun. Pinag-usapan natin yan. Pero hindi ko alam na nung minungkahe mo na itong ating magiging palabas ngayon, yun pala ang pinanggalingan nun. Kasi ang ating pag-uusap ngayong hapon na may kinalaman sa trabaho.
Yes.
Yung pala, doon pala nanggaling yun. Doon sa yung pala yung gatilyo kumalabit dito. Yung pala ang gatilyong kinalabit ditong ating
kasi naungusan natin ang UP.
At tuwan-tuwa tayo, gusto natin pag-usapan. Ganun ba yun? Yun nga, ano pa sinabi dun sa ulat na yun, Sir Jovi?
Ayon sa mga in-interview ng mga employers, meron silang preference sa tenista. Doon din ako nagulat.
Oo nga, talaga.
Kasi alam ko matagal na lagi sinasabi, mas preferred daw yung mga estudyante ko na manager na ganyan, di ba? Marami tayo mga kaklase na manager na CEO. Ang lagi lang nila sinasabi, taga-PUP gusto nila yan. Taga-PUP.
Totoo pa rin naman, nandun pa rin sa taas yung mga yun. No? Pero ngayon, yung pinakahuling ulat, tayo yung mga galing sa Ateneo ang parang pinaka
doon ako nagulat. Nagugulat ako doon.
Nakagulat na ulat. Ganun pala yun. Yung palang pinanggalingan nito. Hindi naman lingid sa akin ang ating paksa sa araw na ito. Yun lang, natauhan lang ako na yung palang pinanggalingan. Kasi pang paksa namin ngayong hapon na ito ay tungkol sa trabaho o paghahanap-buhay. Hanap buhay ang ginawa namin kasi mas philosophical, hanap buhay. Kaya ang aming pamagat ngayon ay paghahanap buhay
sa hanap buhay.
O kapag hanap buhay sa paghahanap buhay. Pareho lang ang tunog, no? Pero yung isa may gitling. Paghahanap ng buhay sa paghahanap buhay. Ayun ang gusto namin pag-usapan ngayon sa tulong ng ating mga pinagpipitagan ng panauhi at marami salamat sa kanilang pagpapaunlak. Alamin natin ngayon kung paano ba makapasok at siyempre manatili at siguro lumigaya. Ako rin ay may mga anak na ka-graduate lang at totoo nga sir, hindi naman siya nahirapang kumuha pero hindi lang yata yun pero hindi rin niya alam kung bakit. Kaya baka ba ngayon basta mabuklat natin tong hiwagang ito. Ano po ba para sa ating pag-unawa ngayon ang kailangan para makapasok at manatili at lumigaya sa ating mga pinapasukang mga trabaho. Sa ating paghahanap buhay, paano ba mahanap ang buhay? Sir Jovi, pakilala mo.
So una, pakilala natin si Marky Caños, isang development specialist in a multinational firm and is currently based in Singapore. For almost 10 years now, Marky has led a team headed by Father Ted Gonzalez, SJ, to conceptualize and establish the survey retreat, which he will talk about later.
Wow! Alam ko kasing Survey Retreat kaya kasama pala si Sir Marky doon.
Yes.
Magandang hapon. Salamat for joining us.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
With your indulgence, Marky, could you be the one to introduce our other guests? Kasi ang nakakalula yung CV nila. I'm very impressed. I'm so impressed.
Oh, I'm even impressed myself, and I'm glad to call them as really great friends. And when we started, we were only colleagues, but now, like especially si Bo was my colleague before when we were working in Manila, and Bo now has become my mentor. And I met Rowie through Bo, and I'm really glad to meet them, and be good friends with them. So let me start by introducing Edgardo, or as friends would call him, colleagues would fondly call him as Bo. So Bo Vicente is a global expert in learning development, leadership, and organization effectiveness. He has facilitated leadership summits and workshops in the United States, Singapore, Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, India, Malaysia, and the Philippines. He is based now here in Singapore for about 10 years, working in Micron Technology, same company as I'm working, and he works as Senior Manager for Global Culture, Engagement, and Change. He's the only Filipino in the global team and is regarded as a global expert in his field in the company. So I'd like to introduce Edgardo Bo Vicente. All right. So hi, Bo.
Wow.
Us.
Nice to meet you, Bo.
Magandang hapon, Bo. Salamat sa pagpapaunlak. Pwede ka bumati sa ating mga tagapakinig ng
Hi everyone. Frustrated Atenean ako. Actually, 10 years ago, I tried to study for the PhD in organizational development. Actually, I was supposed to be part of the pioneer group. So, nag-aral lang ako ng 1 sem, but I have to go to Singapore. So, that's really the most significant decision I have to let go. But really, I'm very happy to be here today.
Right. Thank you so much, Bo.
Great to meet you.
And of course, I'd like to introduce Rowie. So, Maria Rowena, Rowie, as everyone fondly calls her, Vindolio Vicente, is a globally competitive HR business partner who has helped shape high-performing cultures at Fortune 500 companies, startups, social enterprise, and family corporations like in ABS-CBN with innovative HR solutions, corporate infrastructure, and robust development programs that bring in revenue and growth to the business. So currently, Rowie is the Senior HR Manager for Asia Pacific of Abbott Laboratories Singapore, an American multinational medical devices and healthcare company with headquarters in the United States. In this role, she supports the business leaders to drive the talent agenda to enable business results through coaching, talent management, organizational design, change management, and business partnering. So, yun. So, let's welcome Rowie Vindolio Vicente.
Ayan ang better half ni Bo.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Naku, Hello. Magandang hapon po sa inyo.
Maraming salamat, Miss
Marky.
Rowie, sa pagpapaunlak.
Ronan and
salamat.
Jovi, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Glad to meet you.
Meron tayong mga tatlong bigating mga panauhin
Oo.
ngayon. At sana
International na naman tayo, Sir Ron, ha?
may mga taga Singapore at ano. Yun nga, sabi ko nga, napakikli ng programa natin. Sana makuha natin ang pinakamarami nating makukuha sa ating mga dakilang panauhin sa hapong ito. Siguro magsimula na ako siguro mula sa bawat panauhin natin. Tulad namin, nagulat din ba kayo dun sa ulat na yon na sinasabi?
Baka hindi nila alam yun. Alam niyo ba? Kung sabihin na gano'n, no?
Ngayon na sinasabi namin na may ulat na gano'n, nakakagulat ba? O para nakikita nyo kung bakit at hindi nyo alam kung bakit? Kahit anong reaction dun sa sinasabi nila na yung mga galing daw sa Ateneo, kung kaano man yun kilala yung mga Ateneo, yung panahon nyo, panahon ngayon, ano man. Nakakagulat ba yon o may nakikita rin kayong dahilan kung bakit pwede kang mangyari yun? Kahit sino sa ating mga panahon, dun lang muna tayo magsimula bago tayo lumundag, Beybeh, sa ating paghahanap-buhay sa paghahanap-buhay. Anyone among you three, please feel free to.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I can start. Of course, I'm not really surprised about that finding for a very particular reason. Of course, aside from the academic and leadership, right? It's really very important is a sense of community, the community involvement or the community service. For example, me as an HR professional or someone who is really taking care of the leadership development, of course, I always look for people who have the competency, the distinctive competency or capabilities. But what I'm really looking for, especially in hiring people or in promoting people for leadership role, is really their ability not just to deal or relate or establish relationship with other people, but their ability to really empathize, right? How are they going to really put themselves in the service of other people to understand, just like what Stephen Covey have said, right? In the habit 4, seek first to understand, then it to be understood. It's not so easy, right, to do that, right? Especially when when all of us wants to be heard. But if you have that great sense of service, right? For example, you have really served, for example, the poor, the farmers, etc., etc. Ang lakas ng empathy, right? Nandoon yung automatic na you're not going to think about yourself, but you're going to think about other people. And nowadays, right, Marky, for example, in Micron, we are always promoting about leadership without authority, right? That we can always be leaders even without being a people leader, by being yourself, by being an individual contributor. So how can you lead other people if you don't have that empathy? How can you lead without authority if you're not looking or thinking about other people? So I think that those are the significant traits of Ateneo.
Wow.
I'd like to add on to that. So, Bo, that was a good entry point because in Ateneo, the Ateneo education, they emphasize on being like a cura personalis, being a person for others. And part of being a person for others is to have that empathy, which you have highlighted on. How about Rowie? What do you think about the news of Ateneo being...
Well, it's not actually a surprise at all. I would say it's kind of like expected, if I have to put it. Because to build on what I think Eduardo has mentioned, right? Ateneans have not only the academic excellence in leadership, it's also like the Ateneans are actually grounded to the community, which is really good. Because being grounded to the community have helped these students to actually relate to what's happening to our current environment, right? And with that preparation, when they go to the corporate world, they understand and learn as well how to interact across levels of the organization. They are confident with themselves to speak with the business managers, with the leaders, with the CEOs. At the same time as well, they know how to interact with peers and even like janitors or low levels in the organization. Right? So I think it's not surprising at all, and it's actually well done. And please continue that kind of environment. Like you promote academic excellence, leadership, but also you let the students stay grounded.
Right.
And Jovi, I have something to share.
Go ahead.
I think aside from what Rory have said about being confident, one of the significant characteristics of Ateneo, right, is the humility, right? Because, for example, many schools, right, we can always have great candidates, right, very intelligent, but something that is really different, right, that will really serve the graduates from Ateneo distinctive, right, is because they are humble. Kaya nga sabi ni Rory, kahit sa janitor or with any other right types of people, they can always deal with. So I think it's really not just about relationship.
Sige, tanungin natin si Sir Ron. Humble daw mga estudyante natin.
Humble ya. Humble yata ako. Oo naman, no? Parang nakikinig pa rin lang ako ngayon. Alam niyo po kasi ako ang employment ko ay pagtuturo, no? Kami si Sir Jovi. At yung mga klase ko, hindi ko alam kung ano naging paano maging nagbuhay nila sa pag-apply dun sa mga ibang talaga sa corporate world, sa iba pang mga lugar. Pero nakita ko, mas mabilis umakyat ang kanilang mga posisyon, mas napuntahan nila yung mga gusto nilang larangan, hindi sila kailangang mamili ng hindi nila gaanong gusto. Yun lang ang alam ko. Sa ako kasi, sabi ko na sa sarili ko.
Pero ito, no? Kasi parang ang ano dati yung ugong-ugong, may pagka-entitled daw yung mga bata. O mga millennials in general. Simula na tayo doon. Is that in your experience? Hindi na mga atenista, ha? Yung mga millennials.
Ngayon ba? Oo, parang pinaka-impression ngayon na parang may mga, lalo na yata, hindi mga millennials, no? Hindi dahil antenista pero karamihan.
Yung nabalita last year, yung sweldo niya, sabi niya, masyado na mababa yun dahil masyado na mataas yung tuition fee niya. Natandaan niyo yung umugong na yun.
Pero disclaimer lang, parang nagpakilala yung nagsalitang yun. At nilinaw niya yung kwento na bigla siyang kinatok. Hindi na siya nag-a-apply. Siya raw ang pinalapitan at tinatanong at sabi niya hindi parang meron na akong hindi pinipilit ang sarili niya noon.
Hindi pala offer. Offer pala 'yon sa kanya.
Offer 'yon at nung kanyang tumanggi ang napalitang narrative ay siya ay nagmamalaki at hindi maabot, pero sabi niya parang mali yata yung kwento. Pero kahit na yung narrative na 'yon, yung kwentong 'yon na hindi man yung taong yun mismo. Totoo ba yun na in general ang ating mga kabataan ngayon na pumapasok sa trabaho ay may mataas na sense of entitlement? Yun ba yun?
They lay down their terms lagi. Or is that part of the game now? Anyone?
Si Miss Rowie, parang si Miss Rowie. Habang nagtatanong tayo, may nakikita na siya sabihin.
Give some insights there, no? So basically, maybe based on a few interactions with millennials in Singapore, we have a few interns from one of the top universities here in Singapore. I wouldn't like to name the university, but you would imagine the top university in Singapore and also one of the top universities in the world. So I think most of those millennials, as we call them, or yung Generation Z when they come into the organization, no, as interns, internship pa lang, medyo may certain, I think they have certain level of expectations. To some extent, right, but I think it's just a matter of communication as well. Kasi to some extent, when that level of expectation is not communicated properly to the hiring manager or to HR. And at the same time, of course, HR and hiring manager has their level of expectations as well. So I think nagkakaroon ng misconception, no? Sabihin kasi, I'm coming from this university, I think I deserve this and that. But I think it's really more about they are confident on what skills and competencies they have acquired in this school. It's just that it's about the way that they deliver the message, right? And also, at the same time, for the students, especially for just university, trying to allow the values of the organization, make your research.
Yes. Nako, si Miss Rowie. Miss Rowie, we are losing you. So, parang sinasabi mo that when they communicate their expectation, it's just that there's what's that? It's a bit forward, straightforward. And ano yung, they're more...
I think it could be also, it's a bit, but it's a matter trying to align with what the organization.
Yes, I think Miss Rowie, yung audio mo malinaw tapos bigla
Okay.
nawawala. Hindi siya naglalag eh. It's continuously on, but I think the pickup,
better?
yeah, that's much better.
Okay.
Yes, please. So ano po yung sagot niyo sa huling sinabi ni Sir Jovi Miroy? So it's I
Yes,
I
yes.
was hearing it's more of an alignment thing.
Yes, right. So I was saying it could also be the matter of how they say it, like being straightforward, like what Jovi has mentioned. But also at the same time, it's really about aligning their expectations with what the organization is really looking at, right?
Yeah.
So, yun.
So parang boy saying, mahalaga yung humility. Mahalaga yung humility.
Yeah.
Actually, yep. Pardon?
Yeah, Edgardo, you have something to say? Or, yeah.
Actually, of course, very important yung humility. But for me, actually, ang mas mahalaga sa lahat is you have to really know what you really like, right? For example, when I was during my first job, right, merong offer sa akin ng Metrobank and Figaro Coffee Company. Of course, Metrobank during that time was considered the number one bank, the largest bank in the Philippines. And Figaro, even though it's known as a coffee company, but it's small one. But I accepted the job for Figaro because they offered me to lead the training department or the learning development rather than working, for example, in Metrobank as part of the human resource department, but just doing a 201 file. Yung bang magpuput ang record sa 201 file. So for me, maybe just like what Rowie have said, right? Yung not really about the entitlement, but maybe one thing that will help the graduates, right, is to really understand what do they really like, right? So that when they go, right, and present themselves to the organization, they know their value proposition and they also know what is really important for them.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, Marty.
Yes. It just seems to us, to the different generation, Gen Zers or millennials, or especially the early millennials, no, the early millennials, that they seem to be like entitled, but because they are upfront with what they want. And I think it's important that especially those who are hiring, as what highlighted by Rowie, we need to also align them to the expectations of the company. And also for them to really be sure what they want, like yung nabanggit ni Bo. So those are the things that, those are the impressions of millennials or Gen Zers, where they're coming from. But I guess they're coming from a different perspective. So we need to align them to the perspective.
I see. So parang ang sanay na naman yung HR doon. I-align sila doon sa expectations ng company. Is that
I think HR need to be neutral din and professional at the same time. Alam niya ni Rowie and Bo. They're very skillful at that. So
ito, may tanong ako na baka medyo hindi dapat tanungin, pero laging sinasabi na dapat matuto yung mga millennials o yung Gen Z dahil ganito ang work world, no? Pero yung work world ba may kailangan din bang matutuhan, kasi hindi naman din isang larangan na may mababagsik na hangganan ang mundo ng paghahanap buhay, no? Marami rin diyan na nagulat din ako ngayon kasi dahil yung anak ko na nagmamasukan ngayon sa mga in probationary period pa lang ng kanyang mga trabaho, na nakita ko may medyo may kakaibang mga pagsasaalang-alang yung kanilang mga HR na parang sige ganyan, para hindi ko naranasan at 28 years ago nung ako ay nagsisimula rin bilang baguhan. Parang dati ay umangkas ka, kung di ka makaangkas at makasabay, hindi yan makakabuti sa'yo. Pero may nakita ko may elemento, kulang man o sapat na accommodation at lahat ng mga jargon ngayon na wala dati na tungkol sa mental health, wellness, at lahat ng mga yan. So, So nabanggit natin na kailangan matutuhan yung mga Gen Z at millennials sa kanilang pagpasok, and I agree with that, no? Pero kumusta naman dun sa mga employer, sa mga panig ng employer? Ano bang mga nagaganap o kailangan
Siguro pati health, 'di ba? Health packages, health concerns.
Structures man o sistema that goes with it, that go with that whole paradigm shift ba matatawag yun? So adjustment na yon sa ating mga bagong breed ng ng workforce. Anyone can answer.
Yeah, maybe I would like to start. Number one, bakit nagkaroon ba ng shift, right? For example, yung HR. Sabi mo nga, Ron, right, that before, ang HR parang masyadong matapang, parang if you're not going to accept this, I don't care, right? But now, the organizations are becoming very people-focused or people-centered. Why? Because now, they realize that people make the difference, right? That people... if we take care of people, then people will take care of the results, right? That's why actually kung mapapansin mo rin yung human resource department, now they are being called people department. So tagang pinapakita yung yes, right? Pinapakita yung yung value na kailangan pahalagaan yung tao. So that's really the number one reason bakit nag-shift, right? Sabi nga ng CEO namin sa micron ni Marky, yung in-announce niya yung shift from HR to people department, ang sabi niya, now, people is part of the business agenda. Hindi siya lang a commodity or kailangan na natin to just make them be engaged, but they're really part of really this business strategy. So that's really the number one reason bakit ang focus ngayon, diba, yung mental health, everything or engagement, because of that people value. Second, of course, in the Philippines, when I was a human resource department, very strong din yung competition sa market, right? Of course, the company also wants to have a great image, right? In corporate branding, that this is a great place to work. So that's why they're also trying to make sure that they have a lot of people care benefits to really attract and retain these talents.
Kasi mako-call out sila sa may rumor mill yung mga
may social media.
So kasama na sa branding. All right. Yeah. Sir Ron.
Meron bang gusto idagdag si Mark Jovi?
Jovi, go. Yes, because she's experienced in recruitment and being part of the HR business partner. Yeah. Go, Rowie.
Okay. So right, in addition dun sa nasabi mo, Ardo or also the company. How do we collect?
Hello, Miss Rowie, I think ang may problem ay hindi connection. I think it's the mic, no?
Hello?
Yung mic.
Yes, is it better?
Yes, that's better.
Okay, sure. So, in addition to what Edgardo has shared earlier, what I would like to share as well is the company also tried to collect data from our employees through employee engagement. And also aside from that, meron tayong mini-measure in terms of attrition. So doon natin nakikita yung trend. Saan ba nagagaling ang attrition din natin? Sa mga millennials, sa Gen Z, etc. And out of this data that we collect through these surveys, we try to improve our environment, our work environment. So one of those directly related siguro din sa mga millennials is for managers, and when it comes to learning and development, there's this course called multi-generational workforce, how to manage multi-generational workforce. Kasi out of the data that the companies have collected internally, they have found out nga na merong mga differences when it comes to management styles, work styles, according to different generations, from Generation X, Y, Gen Z, Millennials. So how do we address that gap? Because ultimately, we want them to work together, collaboratively, produce results. So yun yung mga one of the interventions. So going back to your question, Ron, definitely the organization is learning from this, and the organization is trying to do something, of course, to make our workforce effective.
Yeah, I think one of the merits of a great organization is adaptability to the changing times, especially dito sa corporate landscape. Nagbabago-bago, di ba, yung trends like what Rowie mentioned. And we need to take into account the different generations in the workforce. So I think it's important that these companies have to address the needs of the employees or team members, as you call it, ranging from millennials to Gen X to Gen Z, or even boomers who are still part of the company.
Excuse me, ako ay Gen X. Di ako boomer. Ayaw ba? Totoo nga yung sinabi natin na ulat kanina about the employability ng atenista. Yun lang ang take-off natin, no? Pero it's one thing to say na employable sila. But mamasukan ba sila? This is the other question. Kasi ang nakita natin ngayon, kahit may ganung pananaw sa kanila, minsan hindi sila pupunta o bakit, o kaya madali silang umalis. Dito lang, natutuwa nga ako na ang guest natin ngayon ay may maalam sa HR, mga taga-HR. Kasi ako mismo, pag nagpapayo sa mga dati kong estudyante o kahit sa mga anak ko, parang nakikita ko yung sarili ko using my own mindset na nung ako'y namamasukan noon. Hindi ganyan. Pero palagay ko, wala akong big picture ng buong kailangan maintindihan tungkol sa kanila na end up being very
Having said that, Sir Ron, so ano yung mga skills na kailangan?
Sir Jovi, if you don't
meron pa. Okay.
Mamaya ko tatanungin yan. Gusto ko lang maintindihan yung phenomenon na yun. Nakilala natin ngayon ang mga bakit sila, baka related din yan, itatanong mo yan, Sir Jovi, pero bakit sila paalis-alis? Hindi lang ito nga. In the past 5 years, yung mga kabataan or 10 years, mga kabataan parang hindi napipirme.
Parang paru-paro mga mataas ang turnover.
Tapos yung mga taong nasa edad ko, unawain sila, pero at the back of our minds, may konting
kasi si Sir Ron, first job at last job, hindi siguro last job ni Sir Ron. First job at last job niya
ang pagtuturo, no? At in the same institution. Pero marami naman ako sa mga gilid-gilid na. No?
May gig.
Kaya nahihirapan akong maunawaan at siyempre, pinapayuhan ko ng maayos at encouragingly, pero hindi ko naiintindihan masyado at ayaw ko maggaling-galingan. Baka ang ating mga bisita ngayon, may paliwanag, bakit nga ba sila parang mga paro-paro na pag may konting kibot dito, dati titiisin mo talaga na 6 months yung probationary, sa teachers ka 3 years.
At siguro yung yung nandun pa din yung pagnanais na mag-migrate, magtrabaho abroad. I wonder, that's
sama-sama na yun, sir. Within locally, tas kung saan man, pero ano po ba yun? Is that really the case o nagkataon lang na hindi nagtatagpo yung gusto nila at hinahanap nila at paano po ba yan? Kaya baka matulungan tayo at yung mga may bigger picture na nakikita sa HR. Yes. Bo, baka meron.
Actually, the reason why I think Rowie will be the best person to talk about that because, for example, me and Marky, we've been working for 10 years. Hindi kami umaalis sa company namin. But Rowie, every 2 years is leaving to a new company. So I think Rowie would be the best person to ask that question.
Rowie has, expanded her skills. And the great thing about Rowie is she really ventured into different companies, and Rowie can share more on that. Yes.
Yeah, yun nga, is that finding yourself? Hindi ko po alam ang dahilan noon, or is that disillusionment from the current company? Kaya para hindi ko po alam. Please enlighten us.
Oh, can you hear me clearly? Okay, can you hear me? Okay, I'm just worried about the audio.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So maybe I'll probably share based on experience. So I think it really depends on what's the person's career trajectory or the long-term plan. With what happened to me, I mean, I've been in several organizations, like what Marky or Edgardo has mentioned, in several organizations, in several industries. But it's actually because it is also flat up to what do I want to achieve in like 10 years. So in 10 years in my career, I was like envisioning myself to be the head of HR, to be heading like a multinational HR organization, right? But because of that, with this, I would say goal, there are certain organizations where I'm probably at before, which I think couldn't provide me that opportunity. And so I have to leave because another offer came along, which sounds attractive, and it actually somehow matches my aspiration and would probably give me a better opportunity to achieve my aspiration. So I think siguro with probably what's happening with millennials or Gen Z as we call them, right? This is where I would come from when it comes to the mismatch of motivation and also the organization values, or probably what the organization structure is and what the organization can offer. So probably as a lesson there is also what I'm applying as an HR practitioner also to my current organization, is that managers, especially, are the ones who are looking after the employees. So they should actually learn to know each of their employees' motivation, because it's not a one-size solution fits all. It does not necessarily mean that what motivates one employee can also motivate others. And especially that it's not really just on the differences in generation, but also understand the employee as a person. Kasi not
So Rowie, ano yung mga mga three possible motivations na iba-iba? It's very philosophical, by the way. So hindi necessarily money, ibig sabihin, ang motivation.
Not necessarily money. You are right.
Sir Jovi, ikaw naman, kabaligtaran ni Miss Rowie, ang lakas masyado na kung gano'n yung... pwede mo nang huwag ilututok sa...
Kasi nung isang linggo, hindi ako marinig eh.
Nawala yata yung mic mong maganda. Yung nakita.
Ayaw gumana.
So wag mo na ilapit, sir, narinig naman.
Okay.
Kasi parang yung tanong, pakiulit mo na lang yung tanong mo kay Miss Rowie, Jovi.
So Rowie, minsan hindi pera. Although parang obvious yun, no, na pera yung motivation ng estudyante, nung nag-apply or nasa trabaho. But what other motivations are possible?
Right. Okay. So, correct, no, Jovi. It's not necessarily money yung motivation. One could be the career aspiration. Second could be the meaningfulness of work.
Yes.
Right? And then probably third or last would be the connection of the employee to the organization. So when you say connection, and then connection na yun, it could be the values of the person towards the values of the organization, or it could be the connection of the person towards the team. Feeling that kind of belongingness, feeling that kind that, okay, this is the organization where I would like to work kasi ito dito ko nag-enjoy. So those could be the reasons, but it's not necessarily.
Not necessarily. So kung ginagamit mo yung motivational aspect na yun, hindi naman yung parang motivation niya. Hindi, walang matching.
May follow-up question din ako kay Miss Rowie na of course pwede rin masagot ni Bo at ni Marky, no? Yung binanggit mo kanina na kailangan may career trajectory, in the absence of that, at minsan, yun ang pagpunta ng mga tao, una, impression lang sa kumpanya na malaki, na sikat, pupunta doon at pagdalaman nila na, kasi hinahanap pa nila yung career trajectory minsan. Young as they are, hindi pa nila alam at doon nila tutok kasi hindi ito. Kasi hindi pa yata malinaw kailang career trajectory. Understandably, no? Kasi nagbabago rin naman yan habang nakakaranas ka ng mga bagay-bagay. So yung mismatch with the organization na binabanggit mo, Miss Rowie, sometimes it just dawns on you na hindi ka match. Kasi at nakikilala mo rin lang yung sarili mo on the spot. Kaya so hindi din natin masisi na kasi wala kang career trajectory. Pero sila rin kasi hinahanap pa muna yon. Is that I can see that pag tinatanong ko at impatient ako, ba't di mo kasi alam? Kasi hindi rin yata ganun ka instant yon sa mga ita.
So parang tinatanong ni Sir Ron, kailangan ba alam na nila yon or pwedeng hindi pa nila alam yun?
Nako,
when they apply.
Tama, no? I agree with Ron. Not necessarily, hindi naman sa lahat ng pagkakataon talaga alam na natin kung ano yung gusto natin, no? Na doon pa tayo sa self-discovery. Minsan, inaalam pa natin ano ba yung career trajectory natin. So, especially lalo na sa mga fresh from university, no? Not automatic yan. Very normal na hindi pa ganun ka strong yung kanilang career trajectory. So, usually what we recommend is, number one, find someone that you could trust and ask as a mentor. No? Could be outside the organization or within the organization. Like, not necessarily your manager, pero of course, it's important then you should share it to your manager. Kasi the manager has a lot of things to do on his plate, right? So, kailangan open yung communication with them, si manager, di ba? So, it's actually just more of communicating it to the manager. And so, your manager can really guide you. Kasi sometimes, especially like, I entered into marketing. Pero parang nagugustuhan ko ang sales or parang nagugustuhan ko ata yung training. Pero ang right person who could potentially guide you on what is the potential for you to get would be your manager. Kasi your manager works closely with you, also has the opportunity to see what are your strengths, what are your capabilities and development areas. And at the same time, aside from your manager, you can have also like a mentor, someone who also knows you really, right, as a person, and also what are your values and strengths. So, importante talaga na you have all these people like your manager, your mentor, your coaches, and whatever.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, that's true.
Joey,
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yung mentor part, because Bo is my mentor. He's also my tormentor. In a positive way. In a positive way, because I also was wondering, especially in my 10 years in Micron, there were times na I didn't know what I will do in life. And Bo helped me sift through, sinala kung ano yung parang all my motivations down to really what I want. So I could attest to that, and Bo has been really my companion in this journey in the corporate life.
So ang sense ko, Ron, from what Rowie and Marky are saying, yung manager ngayon kailangan philosopher.
Yeah, ang naririnig ko nga ngayon, yung manager, yung akala natin dati na parang counselor at HR dun sa trabaho mo. Pero narinig ko kay Miss Rowie ngayon, sana yung immediate supervisor mo pays attention to you. Yung nabanggit kayo ni Marky na may cura personalis, may individual
Tsaka
personal
tinatanong
care.
ka, what will give your life meaning?
Yes, pero of course, that is ideal, no? Pero wala naman tayong control over our manager. So ikaw, na
Sir Ron, banggitin lang natin yung mga bumabati sa atin sa comments para makapahinga ng konti sina Rowie and Bo and Marky. Do you see the comments?
No, sir.
So, si Joe Pai Sanchez greets us. Lito Ramos greets Marky. Then there's one from, I don't know, kilala mo ba to?
Yes, Ulysses Ed Kilag. Thank you very much for joining us. Lito Ramos, they like our discussion now. At ito yung mga very, kilala ko itong mga taong to.
I can see si Rowie, why Rowie has really reached that where she is at now. Talagang very impressive. So yes, Ron, what's our next question?
Yung tanong ko nga, but we don't have control over the manager. That's ideal, no? Kasi sana ganun mga manager. But kahit ngayon kasi may nakikita pa ako na manager na parang mahirap maabot and impress me and it's a my way or the highway. May ganun pa rin mga dating, no? But yung mentor, mas nakikita ko. At maraming nagpapamentor sa akin na hindi working under me, no? Kumakausap. But also, siyempre ang discussion natin ngayon paano ba makapasok? Alam na natin. Napag-usapan kanina, yung humility, leadership, paano manatili? Ayan nga, you have to have your career trajectory. Pero paano lumigaya? Iba pa yun, yung manatili. Paano lumigaya? Nasa manatili tayo ngayon pero leading to the other side, paano lumigaya sa trabaho? Pag tinatanong ako ng mga nagpapamentor sa akin, wala ko ibang masagot. Kasi mayroon meaningfulness nga. Yung sinasabi ni Miss Rowie, meaningfulness yung hinahanap na para lumigaya. At ang lagi ko lang nasabi, kung ganyan, magturo ka na lang. Talaga.
Pero pwede din yung sense of belongingness, di ba? Yung sense of belongingness.
Pero sir, manatili yan eh. Manatili. Manatili. Pero nandun na tayo lumigaya, yung katatagal ka ng 28 years, 30 years. Meaningfulness talaga yun. At sa akin pagsisikap, hindi dahil ko konti lang ang alam ko, no? Teaching yung hinahanap mo. Ganun. At para nakikita ko rin yan yung mga tulad
kasi pati yung manager pwedeng maging mentor pala. Mentoring din pala.
Sabi ko, baka teaching hinahanap mo, baka kaya ka hindi makapirme. At saka kalaunan yung mga nakapirme, parang yung mga kilala natin, kaibigan natin, they usually end up part-time teachers sa UP, part-time teachers sa Ateneo, part-time teachers sa public sector.
Pero parang ang sinasabi ni Sir Ron, dapat mas mataas yung sweldo ng teacher.
Hindi ko sinasabi yun.
Hindi yan sinasabi ni Sir Ron.
Pero I think pare-pareho tayo sa dulo. Gusto mo ng self-actualization, sabi nga sa Maslow, di ba? Yung highest, yung self-actualization, yung belongingness kasama yun. Self-esteem kasama rin yun pag napopromote ka. Pero kalaunan, self-actualization, yung unique contribution mo sa mundo yatang hinahanap mo. Kaya pag tinatanong sa akin, magturo ka. So, hindi ko po alam. So, yung lumigaya, paano po yun?
I'd like to highlight kasi yung aside from what Rowie mentioned about mentoring, there are other aspects that you need to find, the key persons. And Bo has highlighted that to me. Like you need, Bo, if you can expound more about like a career sponsor, a mentor, also, if you can expound more on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Marky. Maybe the question there is, how are you going to accelerate your learning, your growth, right? That's really the basic question. And I realized that ultimately we need three types of people sa workplace. Number one, right? Someone who can do the role modeling, right? Kaya somehow we're looking for those colleagues na very expert, very strong ang expertise, because we want to learn from them, right? Not necessarily that they will teach us, but we will just observe how they will do their work and we can learn. That's the basic one, right? The role modeling. The second person, right? The type of person we need in life is the coach or mentor. And sadly, not everybody, or very less, not majority, have the appreciation of having a coach or mentor. Maybe they have informal coaches or mentors, but it's not formal, right? It's not formalized mentoring. But I think that is something that we have to start learning, really find someone who can coach us and mentor us. Finally, this is really the most important to really accelerate our career or our growth. How to find a sponsor, right? When I say sponsor, this person will really vouch for you, will advocate for you, but this person somehow in authority, because this person has the power to open doors for you, right? To open doors of opportunities for you. How to do that? For me, my strategy is, that's why it's important to find a mentor or a coach, because that person can really understand who you are, right? Your career aspiration. At once pag na-develop yung relationship niyo, right? And that mentor can really definitely act as a sponsor who will really, really vouch for you. Kasi na-experience ko yan, for example, sa Micron. I started sa country level. After 3 months, moved to regional. And after 5 years now, I'm part of the global team. Paano ko nagawa yung from country to region to mentor? It's not just because I try to really to be the best and to contribute, but really I have mentors, right? Really mentors who really help me to learn and open the door of opportunities.
So yung ano lang siguro dyan, kasi that's big in Singapore talaga, di ba? If you want a mentor, kailangan teachable ka. Hindi pwede yung mentor ka, di ba? No, pinapakinggan yung mentor mo.
Hindi, baka mamaya baka skill na rin yun ng mentor, pati hindi teachable, na-penetrate niya. So, narinig ko sa sinabi ni Bo na eventually your mentor becomes your sponsor. Or pwede namang hindi rin. Kasi sometimes the mentor is outside your company. Pupunta sila sa iba at nagtatanong. So nga sa akin nasa teaching, nasa academe ako, bumabalik sa akin yung mga komportable makipag-usap sa akin in my capacity as teacher and philo major. Doon na lang ako nag-iisip. But pero hindi siya pwede maging ninong kalaunan or yung sponsor.
Kasi nasa labas siya ng organization.
So pag ganun, dapat nasa loob, no? Grabe, can that be demanded of companies na dapat meron mga counselors at mentors dito or mga sponsors dito? Kasi in
pero
the absence
parang
of that,
ano yata yung global setting?
Yeah, it's becoming a trend now, especially for big companies. Not just, of course, right, we can learn in many ways. Remember the principle 70-20-10. People can learn through formal learning, 20% through others, and 10% through application. For example, in Micron, we realized that in order to, again, accelerate development, especially for those high potential, we need to really formalize mentoring. Kaya siguro yung Ron, sabi ko na, but at the same time, since I created the mentoring program at Micro, lagi ko sasabi sa mga employees namin is, if, for example, if even though we don't have a formal mentoring program, you have to really take the initiative, look for those people. For example, alam mo na you need these skills or you need this the advice of these people, right? Go and present, right? And ask, I want to be mentored. Can you be a mentor?
Wow. Kahit nung lumang panahon, meron kaming ganun, mga 1990s, pero hindi nga siya structure, hindi siya formal. Meron kaming angel system, ikaw nang bahala dyan. Pero may trabaho rin ako, so hindi kasama yan sa job description ko talaga. So hindi ko siya ma-prioritize. So in the absence of that, ang sinasabi ni na Bonnie, na Rowie, ni na Marky, ay seek it na. So, do yourself a favor and look for one. Tatlo yung narinig kong sinabi yung pwede mag-model para ma-inspire ka pag nakikita mo. Pangalawa, yung pwede mag-mentor para pwede kang meron kang katalbugan ng mga thoughts at mga insecurities mo. At kalaunan, meron kang sponsor na pwedeng magninong sa'yo at magtulungan.
So ano yung mga skills therefore we think that soft skills na kailangan nila? But can we include lang muna yung nagbago na ba ito sa pandemic situation natin? Itong mga employability skills na kailangan? Or are they still the same?
I think there is a more emphasis on the soft skills, the transferable skills, especially in communication skills, presentation skills, and facilitation skills. Of course, technical skills is still a must, but for you to be aligned to the organization, for you to have initiative, you need to communicate properly and be heard effectively. So I think it's important that we have these soft skills, because everywhere we go, whether manufacturing, you're in the fast consumer groups, or even in education, you will have these skills with you. Yan yung toolbox or toolkit mo.
Particularly, Sir Jovi, sa Singapore na education hub ng Asia, no, nakiki-benchmark kami at early on, natukoy na nila. Sila lagi mataas ang ranking sa mga performance, pero sila mismo, they needed to veer away from the scores. Ang sabi nila, ang kailangan na ngayon in the future, hindi ko na alam, kaya nga communication, sinasabi ni Marky, hindi na yung mga taas communication, meron pang self-agentic. Alam niyo yung mga Singaporean, nag-invento sila ng word na madaling maunawaan na self-agentic. Ikaw yung sarili mong agent, yung resiliency, lahat yan. Sa kanila lahat galing yan. At yun nga, at true enough, lalo na ngayong pandemic, parang yun nga ang what will get you through. At pero sir, ayaw ko ring i-exclude yung iba pang hindi namamasukan. Yung marami ring freelance na mga nakikinig sa atin ngayon. Yun nga sa mga ibang nag-comment sa atin ngayon, mga freelancer yan And perhaps it's because they experience that, yung sa kanilang pamamasukan, nagbumuka tuloy silang entitled nang di nila sinasadya. So they thought na baka mamaya engagement ko na lang ay per project, yung ganon. Hindi ko alam kung anong tanong ko tungkol sa freelance. How do you anong pwede niyong sabihin sa kanila?
Pero kasi yung may gig economy din kasi, di ba? So those are two different personalities.
Pero ako particularly, hindi ko na masyadong gustong maintindihan yung nangyayari sa landscape ng employment. Parang ang mas gusto kong maintindihan ay itong mga para sa nakikinig sa atin, how can they understand this further, and then what can they do. Natutuwa ako dun sa kung wala yan talaga sa pupapasukan mo, hanapin mo, sadyain mo. I like those tips, no. Kaysa naman, so pag hinanap nila yung mga hirap hanapin na hindi within their control, lalo sila madi-disillusion. So parang gusto kong mapulot ng karamihan na nakikinig sa atin ngayon ay how do they deal with
Siguro
this?
ang kino-communicate ni Sir Ron kasi syempre mahirap magbago ng sistema. If you're going to enter into that company, they already have their own culture.
Yeah, but I'm very happy na nababalitaan ko na may paradigm shift na sa karamihan, sa maraming kumpanya. Lalo na sa Miss Rowie, sa Fortune 500 nagpapayo. At yung mga malalaki, ganun na talaga. So magandang pag-asa yan sa mga millennials natin. No? But meanwhile, itong mga millennials natin, whether namamasukan o nag-freelance, how do they deal with this? Marami sa kanila, even if they are in a good place, sa quote-unquote, naririnig ko na, hindi, aalis ako, hindi ko alam, sir. It must be me. Parang may ganun sila.
Mahirap kasi we stuck it out no? In our jobs.
Oo, pero hindi.
Kasi naman ang Ateneo it has a space if you create your space.
But no, sir, I'm also referring to teachers in Ateneo. Na hindi tayo na in the past 5-7 years, sabi ko nga, teaching, meaningful, di teaching, lalabas din. So, I hindi ko naintindihan at na-insecure ako basta lang magpayo.
Kasi tantinrain mo na and then aalis. Pero siguro kasama na din yung sa HR, no? Hindi porket tinrain mo sila, so they're there forever.
Anong pwedeng, sa mga nakikinig sa atin, na medyo ganoon, no? Kasama na dyan lahat ng mga estudyante kung hanggang ngayon hinahanap pa sarili nila. I feel for them at hindi ko alam anong pwedeng sabihin sa kanila. Ano po? Kumusta? Freelancers man o employees?
I think the future of work will really change, no? Baka in the future it's no longer a 9-to-5 job. So I think what companies, especially or consultants, are saying is, as early as when you are still in the university, you need to acquire transferable skills like project management, communication skills. Na every industry will require it. And especially, sinasabi na agility, no? You have to be agile. You need to not only, and also be adaptable, be resilient as well. So all these transferable skills you need to build as early as you're still in university. And if it helps na magtrabaho, pwede, like sideline, go ahead. I think it's important na yung traditional mindset kasi na after college, saka lang magtrabaho. No, I think you can
habang nasa college.
Yeah, while you are in college, no? So,
and isn't possible in the pandemic situation, yung online learning, yung merong jobs on the side?
Lalo na, parang maraming na-design na pwede na yun ngayon.
I've heard of like virtual assistants na nangyayari ngayon. Like they can do remotely. Parang you can manage the, I don't know, mga admin structures or even files remotely.
Yeah. So exciting even if it is pandemic and online.
Yeah. Also like podcasting, mga ganito, how to create your own videos, TikTok. You know, in TikTok, you may think that it's very shallow, but it can be used for education.
I used to think that, but I agree. Hindi nga. Ngayon, I'm nakaka-addict. No?
And you can explore other social media platforms like
sa
Twitter.
Sa Spotify ko, puro podcast. At pinapakinggan ko, napakaraming interesting. So, yun nga. So, what is this, Bo and Rowie, tukol na sa sinabi ko, ano ba itong mga dati ko estudyante na ang pakiramdam ay hindi yata ako meant for the work world, for the work landscape. So, ano po?
Teka muna, Sir Ron, hindi sila meant for work? Hindi sila meant to work? Although may mga ganyan tao, no? Parang...
Yes, sir. Marami talaga yan. Marami. Strangely, kasi parang gusto nang umalis. Ang sinasabi sa akin ay...
They want to manage their own time.
Yeah.
Siguro.
Yeah. In fact, and do other things aside from...
Yes. Parang dapat may me time sila, no? So yun yung parang gusto kong mapira-piraso pa para sa mga taong to. Kasi nga, otherwise, they'll just probably give up.
Kasama ba yun sa learning na ano ni... Kasi he's learning, consultant for learning, si Bo. Is that part of the learning that...
Maybe I would like to answer yung question ni Ron. Number one, even kanina yung pinag-usapan na yung patalon-talon, right? Yung millennials have to keep moving from one job to another. And at the same time, yung ngayon, right? Yung may mga tao na hindi nakaka-relate working in the corporate world, right? And they would rather want to work or build their own company or be an entrepreneur. Number one, because you're still young, I realize I am already a Gen X, right? When I was young, actually, nag-explore ako. Actually, parang gaya rin ako ni Rowie na almost every 2 years, nag-move ako. It's because I want to learn, I want to seek more contribution, and of course, of looking for better opportunities, right? But when you reach certain age, mas gusto mo yung maging stable na, right? Of course, mayroon tayong life stages, yung gusto mo na mag-asawa, mag-anak. So that's why my first advice for everybody, when you're still young, right, do explore the world, right? Because it's only in exploring that you are able to find your significant voice. And going back then yung last one question, Ron, is, that's why for me, lagi ko sinasabi rin sa mga friends ko, you have to really know ano ba talaga yung gusto mo? Is it about, parang sa calling, right? Sa vocation, right? Ano ba ang calling mo? Magtrabaho sa corporate world? Or to have your own business, right? Or to lead as if you are the boss of your work, right? And I think what's more important is having these two types of skills or characteristics. Nung nag-aral ako sa Oxford's executive development leadership program, our professor was telling us, in order for us to be future ready, what kind of skill we need to develop now so that we can be ready or we can be future ready. Kasi di ba, in 5 years or 10 years, sabi nga ni Marky, pwede magbago. You know, ang sagot ng professor namin na talagang, actually not really a aha moment, kasi alam na natin lahat to. Of course, before, ang tawag natin, continuous learning, right? But actually, it's really about this growth mindset. Sabi kasi nila doon is, it's difficult to predict, right, what is the requirement in the future. But when people learn to adapt this growth mindset, that even though it's difficult to learn, it's even though they will experience or they do not know, right, a particular thing, but because they acknowledge that they can learn and grow, then that will really help them to be successful. And of course, in this pandemic, it's also important na tell ourselves na this is an opportunity for us to be tenacious. Tingin ko ang tao ngayon din, or mga kabataan minsan, wala masyadong grit or yung tenacity, right? Kapag nasaktan sila or nagkaroon ng problema sa relationship or sa work, they will look for another place. So that's why lagi ko sinasabi rin ngayon sa pandemic, learn to experience the difficulty so that you can develop another critical competency, which is grit or that tenacity. So those are the things, having that growth mindset and being tenacious.
Marky, normally magkano binabayad pagka kasama sila? Pag may seminar sila? Wow, talagang grabe ha. Thank you for this opportunity ha.
Si Miss Rowie, baka may tanong, may gusto idagdag si Miss Rowie. Dun sa mga
Actually, na-cover na ni Edgardo, no? Talagang ang talagang timely ngayon is actually about the growth mindset. And if I would also lean towards what we call learning agility, that's probably one of those that you could hear in most of the corporate multinational organizations. Learning agility and leadership agility. Ano ba tong agility na to? It's your ability to be able to use your past learning, your past experience, and apply it to your current environment.
Yeah.
Diba? So, yun. I think isa yun sa mga critical competencies.
Leadership, agility.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, nasagad na yung oras natin, pero extend tayo ng konti. Ayoko pakawala ng ating mga... Okay lang, kahit 2 minutes lang. Kahit
baka thousands of dollars ang bayad dyan, Norman.
Gusto ko pa, samantalahin na po natin.
My lips are sealed.
Ang huling tanong ko, para lang, baka bilang summary na rin or huling mensahe ng mga bisita natin. Anong sasabihin ninyo sa isang, kasi nandun na ako sa paano lumigaya, no? Nakita ko na paano pumasok, anong hinahanap, paano manatili, o anong mga kailangan, pero yung paano lumigaya. Anong papayo natin, bawat isa sa atin, pwede iba-iba, no? Sa isang batang empleyado currently, no? Na nagsasabing, gusto ko nang mag-resign, tapos hindi niya matukoy kung bakit. Wala din naman siya inapi, hindi naman siya mababa ang sweldo. Ang sinasabi niya ay gusto ko na mag-resign kasi lagi ko yan naririnig po at di ko alam kung ano yung maayos na dapat ipayo. At siguro marami nakikinig sa ating ganyan ngayon na ayaw aminin, nakikinig sila.
And then kung meron silang ipopromote, isabay na nila din doon sa parting word.
So huling message nila. So how would you, anong papayo natin, ano ipapayo natin sa ganung may sinasabing ganun na lalapit sa atin na medyo mas nakababata sa atin within 30s or younger, parang ganyan, 30 not mga 20s.
So let me start. So I also learned this from my mentor Edgardo, who's here with me, and I'm very fortunate to have him in my life in general. And I would say that when you say meaningfulness at work, you can also consider that you can find meaning also outside of work. And that's where you learn to look at volunteer opportunities, because now, especially in the corporate world, it's all about volunteerism. So in this case, it is important to know what are your advocacies. And I'd like to promote Servire Retreat as one of the sources that you can also explore or discern What are your advocacies that can for you to be of service to your community? Na kahit you have a work that's 9 to 5, you can also find time also outside of your work to fully explore what are the work available for the community that you can take in or take part of, maybe in a voluntary basis at first, and who knows, maybe it will be,
So when's the next retreat?
Yes, the next
Marky?
retreat will be this coming weekend already, October 2 to 3, 9, and then second weekend, which is 9 to 10. But no worries, there will be future runs of the Servira retreat. So just look for us at Facebook, the Servira retreat, and look for future runs of this retreat. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shout out to Father Ted. No?
Yes, shout out to Father Ted.
And then, ang ating kapitapitaga na mga panauhin.
Yeah.
Rowie.
For me, sabi nga ni, ang pinaka tema natin for today, right? We always hearing the word meaningfulness, right? For me, how are you going to really find that meaningfulness, may it be sa work o sa labas? Number one is you have to be true to yourself. You have to be true to your greatness. Maybe the reason why you want to resign, you want to leave and look for that opportunity because you feel that you are not yourself. You're not your true self. You're not being true to your greatness, right? So my advice for those people who are struggling, who are really demotivated, right? Find your purpose. How are you going to find your significant voice? Number one is find and discover your talent or rediscover your talent. Do what you think that you are very good at. For example, nung bata ako, alam ko ang talent ko, dumaldal. I love to talk, right? So I also have the talent to inspire, to teach, right? So that's number one, talent. Number two, passion. I want to be with people. That's why pinili ko rin ang pagtuturo. Nung sa Pilipinas ako, habang nagtatrabaho ko, nagpa-part-time ako sa pagtuturo, right? What is that passion, right? Third, what is the need in this world that the world is willing to pay you for, right? Sabi ko, kunyari, Jovi and Ron, sabi ko, kapag yung pagsasalita ko, kumikita ko ngayon, kunyari, uuwi ako sa Pilipinas, nagtotalk ako sa mga corporate, I'm being paid with good amount of money because of that need, right? And finally, conscience, do what is right. So I think being true to yourself, being true to your greatness will allow you to really be happy, be contented, and to really find your meaning. So again, rediscover your talent, your passion. Ask yourself, right, what is the need in this world that they are willing to pay you for? And finally, do what is right. Have that conscience.
Wow, Bo.
Wow.
Parang narinig kita. Kapatid ko ba to? Parang lahat ng yan ay umandar na rin in another version sa isip ko. And thank you very much, Miss Rowie.
Ako, nasabi na lahat ni Edgardo, no? Pero, right, I really confirm and agree with what Edgardo has shared. It really boils down to knowing yourself, right? Knowing yourself, knowing your values, and also being able to share yourself to the community. Kasi it's not just only about you as a person or you yourself, this is what I like, this is what I achieve. But you will find more meaning when you give yourself to others and serve, of course, others. Diba? So ayun, just to recap lang yung mga nasabi ni Edgardo at Martin.
Yeah, and if you don't have that yet, yun na nga, baka servire and ganap na mentor.
Knows. Start with what advocacies or passions that you can help to serve the community who is in greater need. Diba? Sabi nga sa mga Jesuits, go where the greater need is. Yes. Thank you.
At bago tayo magpaalam, salamat ulit kay Ulysses, Neil Patrick, Ed Kilag na sumama sa atin. Kay Jopay Sanchez, salamat sa inyong mga comments at paikisa.
Lito Ramos.
Sabi nga ni Jopay, also coming from that generation when things suddenly changed sa job landscape, biglang ang daming choices for people to do and explore. So parang humirap sa kanila. So like I grew up thinking all I could do was either teach, be a lawyer, pero ngayon ang dami na pala. And so these Eva de Ocampo, thank you for joining us. And Lito Ramos, salamat sa inyo sa inyong pakikiisa sa amin sa session na ito. Yeah.
So they can just invite Bo and Rowie for talks, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, certainly. Book them. And
Thank you very much. Such an honor, and we learned a lot.
Thank you
really
so
appreciate it. God bless
maraming
you,
salamat,
ha?
Sir
Yes,
Ron.
thank you.
Sa ulitin. Thank you.
Yes, Ron and Jovi.
Marky,
Yes, anytime. We enjoyed the program. Salamat.
salamat
Yes,
po.
alright.
Yes.
Marky, Bo, and Rowie.
Bye, everyone.
Bless you.
Hi,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.
Susunod na Lunes po.
Meron? Ano nga ba ang meron? Paano nga bang mabuhay ng tapat sa meron? Don't you wish you can relive your philo classes? The terror teachers? The terrible oral exams? Or the even terrifying but liberating and life-changing aha moments? Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Here's your chance! Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Kasama ang mga pilosopong sina Jovi Miroy at Ron Capinding. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping upward, leaping forward. Lundagin mo, Beybeh! Leaping to greater heights, to greater wisdom, to greater magis. Lundag na, Ateneo! Radyo-katipunan. News, insights, inspiration. Radyo-katipunan. Down from the hill and down to the world. Radyo-katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle.
Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan. Voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay at tenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng kwela. Radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, 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 katipunan, radyo, katipunan, radyo, katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero, sugod, todo sa kayon, tulong at tulong, lipat na Blue Eagle, galing